Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jonathan Martin, joined tonight by our chief meteorologist, Dr. Jim Siebert. And as you know, hurricane season is approaching.
And helping you get ready for the June to November season is what tonight's special is all about.
That's right. We're going to look at some of the lessons learned and some new innovations to keep all of us safe.
And of course, your Gulf Coast Weather Authority will provide a look at the forecast as we all get prepared for hurricane season 2019.
That's right. At least 5 hurricanes, in fact, are predicted to make landfall this year, Dr. Jim, and that's according to scientists from Colorado State University.
Meteorologist Mike Iskovitz breaks down this year's hurricane forecast and how it's developed.
The hurricane forecasts for this year are out, and it's based on a lot of different factors that are called teleconnections. You see, sometimes what happens in one part of the world has effects on weather in another part of the world, and one of the most well-known effects is the effect of the El Nino. Now, an El Nino occurs when there's unusually warm water over here in the tropical parts of the Pacific Ocean, just west of South America. Well, right now we're in a weak phase El Nino. It's expected to stay as either a weak phase or a moderate phase. Now, the arrows I have drawn here show the intensification of the jet stream that happens when we have an El Nino present. It blows across Central America into the Caribbean and across the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the effect of that is that it tends to suppress hurricane activity. At the same time, we do have warmer than normal temperatures in the Central Atlantic and slightly cooler than normal temperatures across the Atlantic Ocean. So all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast for this season as presented by Colorado State University, and they're now anticipating that the season is going to be near normal or slightly below normal. And on an average season, we would have 12 named storms, 6 hurricanes, with 3 of those becoming major, and the latest forecast comes in at right around average, 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes, with 2 of those storms becoming major. But as you know, it only takes one storm to change a whole season if it hits your area, so we need to be prepared the same way every year.
Thanks, Mike. A group of future engineers from Rice University are working on a way to track a flooding event in real time. Meteorologist Stephen Morgan caught up with them and shares what he and what this will mean for you.
The project started
This is our controller.
about a year and a half ago.
It's angled. The vision of the project is to be able to see these deployed in neighborhoods around Houston.
And a team of Rice University engineering students are one step closer to making that vision a reality.
Our system is meant to be put on your street post outside your house where we can then collect data.
Sure, high water sensors like this already exist, but they're in areas where we see water run off, like bayous or rivers. Not in your backyard or even the street you drive on to work.
I would love to see something like this deployed into my neighborhood.
And a few of those sensors are already being used on Rice's campus. This pressure sensor will detect the water level rises. That information then feeds up this weatherproof tubing. That box will then transmit that data, and in theory, that information can be retrieved anywhere that has internet.
You can see it's coming back down to 0. We didn't have a home for 3 months, so it's a very personal type of project.
Among her peers, Alexandra is the local one. She was here for Harvey.
I stayed here on campus. My family stayed in Cinco Ranch, where I grew up.
So this tedious task of trial and error has been more than just a senior project for Alexandra. In fact, she and fellow senior Kevin Wu have already met with Houston city leaders to discuss future ways to implement these sensors in flood-prone regions.
They liked the hardware. They thought it was a neat idea. We'd love to see it used into emergency and disaster response. People can get notifications on their phone. The data can be incorporated into your navigation to not turn onto a road that's flooded.
But that's for the next group of future engineers to figure out, as it's time for these seniors to graduate. Reporting at Rice University, Stephen Morgan, FOX26 News.
Now, one thing you need to make sure that you have is flood insurance is so important, and our Emily Aiken has what you need to know before signing up.
If you purchase flood insurance now, and we have a hurricane June 1st, the day hurricane season begins, your flood insurance wouldn't cover you. That's because you have to buy flood insurance 30 days before the hurricane hits. Fortunately, we don't often see hurricanes here in early June, so you still have time, but not much. We all know this can happen, even when you don't live in a flood zone. And every time it does, homeowners wish they had purchased flood insurance. That's because a homeowner's policy doesn't cover rising waters, floodwaters. You've got to purchase coverage from the National Flood Insurance Program, or NFIP. FEMA manages it. Here's a chart that shows you the cost of rising waters. 4 inches of water in a 2-story house could cause $76,707 in flood damage. 2 years ago, when Harvey hit, the average flood claim was $91,000. Without flood insurance, homeowners pay out of pocket for those repairs or apply for FEMA benefits, which are never enough. And flood insurance is relatively inexpensive, as little as $325 a year in some cases. However, if you live near the coast in a flood zone, you may have a tough time finding coverage, and when you do, it can be very expensive. Renters, you can get coverage too, but only for contents. You can have your insurance agent write it for you or apply directly through FEMA. I've got a link to that page on my Facebook page. I'm Emily Aiken, Fox 26 News.
And still to come tonight on our special, Dr. Jim shows us what's inside his hurricane kit. Plus, meteorologist John Dawson shares some tips on how to help your pet survive a storm.
Here's a little fun fact before we go. Last year will be remembered for Hurricanes Florence and Michael, but there was a total of 15 named storms, including 8 hurricanes, of which 2 were major. Now, an average season has 13 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. The 2018 hurricane season was the first since 2008 to have 4 named storms active at the same time: Florence, Helene, Isaac, and Joyce. Hurricane Florence caused catastrophic flooding in portions of North and South Carolina. Several river locations remained above flood level in the days and weeks following the storm.
Here are the storm names for this 2019 hurricane season. The storm will kick off with Andrea, followed by Barry, Chantal, and so on. And when looking at this list of names, there was one name that stuck out as sort of a memorable cautionary tale as far as Texas hurricanes are concerned, and that is Hurricane Humberto, because back on September 12th of 2007, Humberto formed in the early morning hours just off the coast of Galveston as a tropical depression. Within 19 hours, Humberto had strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane and impacted East Texas, bringing hurricane force winds to Port Arthur and Beaumont. So it just goes to show you that living along the Gulf Coast, we always have to be on alert because storms can form very quickly.
And as Mike Iskovitz just told us, we are expecting a pretty mild to normal hurricane season, and that's why you need to download the Fox 26 weather app. Meteorologist John Dawson has some tips tonight on how to get the most out of it.
Now, I hope you've already downloaded the Fox 26 weather app. It's fantastic, but I want to check your configurations so that you're ready for the hurricane season. Once you pull up the radar imagery, on the bottom right corner, there's a little menu with 3 dots. You're going to want to press on that, and then the menu pops up. Across the top, you've got weather conditions, and in the middle, it says storm symbols. You're going to press on that, and then this is the part I really need you to double check. Right in the to the right here is tropical tracks. You've got to make sure that is selected. I've noticed that it's not always selected when you download the app. And while you're here, go ahead and press on alerts across the top again and just double check that the tropical one is selected. Most of the time that one is already selected for you, but if you'll do those things, make sure you X that out and then close it when you're done. If you'll do those things, then you'll make sure that the Fox 26 weather app is ready for hurricane season. If you haven't downloaded it yet, do it today. It's free, of course, from your favorite app store.
And still to come tonight, how to make sure your pets are prepared when a storm hits. And here's a little hurricane trivia before we go to break. Which storm left behind the most damage here in Houston? Alicia, Ike, or Harvey? That answer when we come back.
Which storm left behind the most damage in Houston? Alicia, Ike, or Harvey? All right, no trick question here. The answer, of course, is Harvey. It's the second most costly hurricane in U.S. history, right behind Hurricane Katrina. Every member of your family needs a go bag specifically designed for them, including your pets. Fox 26 meteorologist John Dawson says complete hurricane pet preparations should be more than just a go bag.
Yes, that pet go bag is super important, and we're going to look at it, but first, a few other things to consider. If you are sheltering in place, you want to make sure you have a safe spot for your pet. Clear out any hazards or toxic products. Research evacuation options. You're going to want to locate a shelter or a hotel that can meet your pet's needs. Most of those places are going to have some kind of restrictions, so find them out now. Get a proper carrier for all of your pets. And of course, microchipping your pet can help you if you get separated, and make sure that you keep that info up to date. Now, let's talk about your pet kit. This kit is made for a small dog, but we can see what you would need for your kit. Even if you have a large dog or even a cat, we'll be able to sort of see what we're looking at here. Let's start with the basics. Food and water. Most recommendations say you need a week or more. Now, a first aid kit is also recommended. Don't forget any medicine or prescriptions. You're going to want to make sure you have a collar or a harness with a leash and all those ID tags. And there's always going to be those sanitation needs. This particular kit comes with a puppy pad and waste bags. And don't forget a few toys or other familiar items like bedding that may help reduce stress. This kit is sold by Emergency Zone, but you'll need to tailor it for your individual pets, whether you build it from scratch or you buy something that's already put together like this. And finally, let's talk about pictures. On your phone, you're going to want to take pictures of important documents like vet records and vaccinations. You're also going to want to make sure and take pictures of any identifying markings or traits that can help others recognize your pet. And I always recommend you keep a few actual real pictures and suggest that you keep those in the carrier. And that way it would help identify you and your pet, especially if you guys are in the picture together. I'm going to be taking care of Sam the boxer, and I hope you have your pet plans in place as well.
All right, so you know Dr. Jim always talks about a hurricane preparedness kit, and so Jim brought his actual kit with us tonight, and I understand you upgraded this a bit after Harvey.
Yeah, after Harvey, I learned some important lessons, and I wanted to share that with you tonight. Now, first of all, I had different things in everybody's bags. And so what I did, the very first thing is I got everybody the same bag. And I mean literally, I got the bag, and everything that you see here is the same in every one of my family members' bags. So you know what's in there, because when somebody say, hey, do you got a flashlight? I don't remember, or who had the snacks, okay? So we upgraded, and by the way, there's a lot more stuff in here than probably a lot of people have thought about. I mean, think about it. When you go camping, how much stuff do you take when you go camping overnight?
Yeah, you take
a carload.
You do.
Right? Well, most of us in our go kits or our severe weather kits, we might have a few snacks, a flashlight, and some batteries and say we got a kit. All right. After Harvey, this is what I've done. I've separated everything out into segments. For example, over here, I've got snacks. And I've got 2 bags of different kinds of snacks that are going to last for at least 3 days. And then I've separated everything else out. For example, I have a toiletry bag. Notice it's all separated so I can cram it in my bag. All I have to do is pull this out. It's waterproof. I've got things like Tylenol PM in case you have a headache when you're in a bad place sleeping. I've got toiletries, how to brush your teeth. I've got candles, knife, this is my utility thing. And then I also have a way to take care of food. Now, for 3 days, you want to be able to take care of yourself. And so I have a very small stove, and then I have these little cubes that you can light. And what I'm going to do is use my mess kit to then boil the water, and I have actually different kinds of dinners. I have enough MREs
Spaghetti
and good food
macaroni
for 3 days. And another, because you want to remember, after a hurricane, you're under stress. And so you want to have good food around you, and you want to make sure you have plenty of water. And so I have ways to get that no matter where I am. This is all just for my go bag. I have much heavier stuff at home if I'm just hunkering down, but that's what I have just to get out on the road.
So again, the thing is, do it now, not wait till a storm gets here.
It is more than just an event when you're getting ready for hurricane season. It is actually a lifestyle.
All right, Dr. Jim, thanks for sharing this. We appreciate it. Well, as you know, it doesn't take a hurricane to paralyze the Bayou City. Fox 26 meteorologist Stephen Morgan has a look at one of the most devastating storms to hit our area and how the UT Health Center is now prepared for major storms.
Allison. A classic case of why cyclones don't need to be hurricanes to cripple a city. And a big storm calls for a big change. Take, for example, UT Health in the Med Center. This is what 33 feet of water from Allison looked like, the tropical storm striking just days after the official beginning of hurricane season in 2001.
All of these flood protections were put in place after Tropical Storm Allison.
Allison left more than $5 billion worth of damage. UT Health's chunk was right around $87 million. That's why soon after this catastrophic cyclone, a decision to defend against fateful floods often associated with tropical systems. And if there was one storm that rivaled Allison, it was Harvey. But this time they were prepared.
Each one of these is designed so that one person can close it in 5 minutes. But we don't want someone here in the middle of the night trying to scramble and close all these things, because this is not a job that 90% is an A. You got to get it 100% right.
23 outer and inner flood doors were installed at UT Health's McGovern Medical School just off Fannin.
This is the sensor that allows the central control office to know which doors are closed or open right there.
For the 17th time, those sensors, seals, and steel doors are being tested. One of the seals did leak during Harvey, but the price tag from that storm was way less, with damages totaling $3 million. Most of those costs, we're told, were due to day-to-day business interruptions.
If a seal breaks or something like that, let's get it fixed now, because it's going to, as you well know, June 1st, we got to be ready.
Even at ground level, Allison's waters were through these doors rising about a foot. Now, a re-engineered exterior shows these granite slabs marking that 500-year floodplain. And where the granite is not,
and so that's this aquarium glass is here.
Aquarium glass is. As part of the building's renovations, critical infrastructure support systems were moved from the lower levels, and several exits to the campus have been elevated.
There's also an engineered berm.
And the hope now is that this is the only test these flood doors weather during the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. Reporting in the Med Center, Stephen Morgan, Fox 26 News.
Well, now that you know what's inside Dr. Jim's hurricane kit, meteorologist John Dawson is showing off a few tools in his hurricane gear test.
For a couple of years now, JD has been reviewing items you may want to include in your hurricane kits. We call it the Hurricane Gear Test.
Now, I'm not going to lie, the Hurricane Gear Test is fun. I get to test out products, tell you about them, and then give them a rating on my Hurricane Kit priority scale. We cover some of the classic items like food and water, but we also get to look at some of the newer products that are on the market and, of course, the latest in technology. Now, over here on this side of the table, I've got things that I have reviewed in the past, so you can actually look these up online. But we start again with some of the basics. This bucket is full of freeze-dried food. We even had a little taste test in the newsroom. And the Aquapod kit is a classic water storage item that I've been talking about for several years now. Let's talk about this coming up season, because I've got new products here that I haven't reviewed yet that you can expect to see. We'll start with a solar panel here that has a battery on it, so you can charge up this battery and then charge your small devices off of the battery using the solar panel, the power. Speaking of charging, this is another battery down here on the end. Not only just USB ports on this one, but it comes with jumper cables. So in case your car needs a little bit of a boost, you can do that. Nebo, who makes all sorts of interesting flashlights, have sent me a new light this year. And I'm one who really is not in favor of candles. So this is a candles replacement option for you. A small light here by BioLite. And this light has the solar panel on the back as well to help kind of charge up that light. Talking about communications, Midland has some two-way radios that they sent me. Going to be able to talk about keeping everyone informed, perhaps even if there's some problems with the cell phone towers. And of course, at the end of each review, I will give the products a rank of a Cat 1 through 5 on my Hurricane Kit priority scale. This is my opinion on how important these items should be for the average person's hurricane supplies. Now, you can find all the stories I've done archived in the Hurricane Toolbox on FOX26Houston.com. And on my Facebook page, I get to add a little extra information on those posts. So make sure and find my account. I'm at John Dawson, Fox 26.
All right, JD, thanks. And that will do it for us.
Remember, hurricane season starts June 1st. Download the Fox 26 weather app and visit our website at FOX26Houston.com for more hurricane tips.